Hello and welcome to Sporking News Podcast. I'm Scott and I'm your host, trying a new microphone, trying an older computer because my other one won't hook up to the microphone, but I thank you. We're over 200 subscribers and it's because of you guys that I'm growing. Grassroots, I really appreciate it. YouTube is not helping small channels like me, so if you can share this, repost it, retweet it, ask your grandmother to sub me, I'd be happy with that. So I appreciate everything. So first, I was going to talk about that Rey article, Star Wars, about her being better than Anakin and better than Luke, and it was stated in the original movies, the prequel movies. I can't go there. Look at me. I'm getting flustered. I'm getting freaking flustered. I can't stand it. I'm so sick and tired of that stuff. So, after Star Wars news, this is from the Washington Post. I might be adjusting some stuff, trying to make sure you guys can hear me well. So, this is coming from the Washington Post. It's their pop culture section. And it says, after Star Wars news, faith in Game of Thrones, showrunner Dave Benioff and D.B. Weiss is wavering. It wavered a long time ago, people. I don't know why people are just starting to get this. I really don't. So this is by Travis M. Andrews. Let's see how he puts it, and I'll put in my 2 cents. Imagine you lorded over the most popular, beloved, and discussed television show during the medium's absolute zenith. One dubbed it Golden Age. You'd basically be a gilded knight of television, right? You could do anything you wanted. The industry would bow at your feet. You'd think. Well, that certainly hasn't been the experience of Game of Thrones showrunner Dave Benioff and D.B. Weiss. D&D, that's all I'm going to say for them now. I'm not calling them by their real names because they are Dumb and Dumber. And I'm sick and tired of these guys, and I'm glad they're finally getting a taste of what they deserve because they're hacks. So, for years, the two seemed untouchable in terms of their pop culture currency. And that's true. Fans couldn't wait for each new season of Game of Thrones, each more popular than the last. Up to about season 4, season 5 on, I wasn't the biggest fan, but I still watched. The epic based on book series by George R.R. Martin. Please finish the book, sir. Please. Won 59 of 160 Emmys for which it was nominated during its 8-season run, which is unbelievable. Really, it is. Cultural critics often fretted that it was the dying breath of a monoculture, but what a way to go. Everyone waited with bated breath to see what they would do next. I didn't read this ahead. Sorry about that. Things don't seem to be going well for the pair, though. At least not as well as logic would dictate they should. Each new headline about them feel increasingly negative. It's about time, though. These guys, on the wings on the shoulders of one of the most iconic writers of high fantasy, probably the iconic writer of high fantasy, definitely of my generation and many generations, George R.R. Martin. These guys weaseled their way in, and then towards the 5th and 6th season started acting like they wrote the books. Watch how they're after the episode things progress. Mostly Benioff. Each new headline, to say they've experienced a fall from grace would be a tremendous overstatement, but it's safe to say that it's kind of tough out there for a former GOT showrunner. Yeah, $250 million from Netflix, right? The latest news about the two came Monday night when Deadline broke the story that the pair had walked away from their much-publicized deal with Disney Lucas to launch a featured film trilogy in 2022. So to launch the Disney one in 2022. Their first, I don't use glasses when I read, so I think that's why I'm having issues. Their first major post-GOT project was supposed to be launching in next series of Star Wars movies. Remember? A lot of people said they wanted out of season 8, out of Game of Thrones, even though they were offered 10 seasons, because of them wanting to get to Star Wars. Get that Star Wars chang. The first major post-GOT project was supposed to be launched, the next series of Star Wars movies. The movies made sense, given how they generally excelled at adapting Martin's book, adapting his books. Both Star Wars and GOT are entire universes unto themselves, with a myriad characters and deep, self-contained mythology. But the two said they don't have time for the project, thanks to a 9-figure deal they signed with Netflix. You morons at Netflix. Call me. I'll write some stuff up. I'll grab a couple of the people in the fandom, Stephen Walton, Doomcock. We'll make up some good stories. Though the streaming service is keeping any further details of the deal under wraps. So they haven't answered questions about that. That would make me a little... Is the ink dry? I don't know. Like we said, it's not all bad news. There are only so many hours in the day, and we felt we could not do justice to both Star Wars and our Netflix projects, so we are regretfully stepping away, the duo told Deadline in a statement. We love Star Wars. When George Lucas built it, he built us too. Getting to talk about Star Wars with him and the current Star Wars team was the thrill of a lifetime, and we will always be indebted to the saga that changed everything. Okay. The news came just days after comments they made at an Austin, this is the part I really wanted to get to, film festival went semi-viral, and not in a way that would make their PR reps happy. But the truth shall not set you free, but it'll set us free maybe. Essentially, they reportedly said that they learned how to create a television show while creating a massive television show. So we're going to probably find that. They acknowledge that they have had no idea why after such a dismal Game of Thrones pilot, why they went forward. Everything we could make a mistake in, we did. Script, casting, costume. They think HBO went forward because they had a lot of foreign pre-sale on the series. Wow. Tweeted a writer who attended the panel. Dan is saying that at Game of Thrones was basically an expensive film school for he and Dave. For example, they had I keep saying their damn names. They had no idea how to work with costume designers, and it was a huge learning experience. Oh my God. Given that the quotes came from one Twitter, okay, all right, I'm already seeing the spin that, the agenda-filled media will do, these access people. Given that the quotes came from one Twitter account, and were later disseminated on blogs, they should be taken with a grain of salt. So already we're defending them, saying, oh, maybe they never actually said this. So if you were there, put it in the comments below, call me, write me, email me at sporkingnewspodcast. Actually, leave out the G, so it's sporkinnewspodcast@gmail.com. Given the quotes came, again, we read that part, but the response to the revelations was telling. Accusations that D&D have primarily relied on privilege during their career poured forth. One user referred to their comments as basically white male privilege 101. I'm not even going there. They didn't have white male privilege. They had snuck their way in. They lied their way in. And George R. R. Martin fell for it. HBO fell for it. Maybe you could believe what you want to believe. I don't believe in white male privilege. I think that's basically, maybe it's an old boys club. I get that. But this whole white male privilege thing it's not real to me. Okay. And I know I have people that watch my videos that disagree with me. And I respect you because from where you come from, maybe yes. But from what I see, everybody has the same advantages and the same laws and the same rights now in 2019. So yes, there's an old boys club, but white male privilege is just because we made the laws, it doesn't mean we still get the advantage from it. Everybody has a right to run for office and things of that nature. So please don't hate me for my views because I respect you for yours. All right. The two news items are almost positively unrelated, but many on social media seem to link the events. What a week. Yeah, tweeted Kevin Clancy, a Barstool radio host. They flat out admitted they didn't know what they were doing on Thrones, and then they lost Star Wars. I'd imagine it's not a good idea to admit you don't know how to do a fantasy epic when you're signed on to Star Wars. And that could have really hurt them. I mean, that came right after. Public perception of the two creative began sourcing in 2017 when they announced plans to create Confederate. Oh, how long did that last? A drama for HBO, imagining a world where the South didn't lose the Civil War. The hashtag #NoConfederate quickly began trending, reaching the #1 Twitter topic stateside and #2 worldwide. Cultural critic Roxane Gay, writing in the New York Times, called the show slavery fan fiction. Okay, so I disagree with that too. I find it really interesting when we take looks at different ways history could have went out. And I mean, that is one of the worst times in American history. But there's like Man in the High Castle, where the Germans and the Japanese beat the Americans and split the country. No one talked about that. but because we're talking about sensitive subject of slavery, people had an issue with these guys. I'm not defending them, but I defend the idea of artistic freedom to envision, to me that would have been apocalyptic world, but still it would have been kind of interesting to see how someone took that. Where would we be now with that, and how an uprise group could defeat that Confederacy? Because it's not just going to be about slavery. It's going to be about uprising against the slavers. Okay. Rather than outright cancel the project, D&D just stopped talking about it. Yeah, they did. And HBO, for the most part, died out. Netflix ended. Confederacy 2 years later. Excitement grew for the final season of GOT, and all seemed well for the 2. All right, let's just jump right. Fan critics, as this reporter wrote, so the guy who wrote this, more than 1.4 million people have signed the petition. So they're talking about the petition. Game of Thrones, I love the story. I like most of you. Was crushed to see how the last season ended, and season 7 has been handled. The internet has a fairly brief collective memory, but the missteps seem to pile up for D&D, though a 9-figure Netflix deal, and I think that was their last chance personally, as good as it gets. But if the past gives us any indication, whatever they came up with was probably be scrutinized. So that's the end of this. What I do know, and I'm sorry, this is a long video, but something I did notice, one of the critiques or one of the quotes, how they're talking about this, we didn't know what we were doing. We weren't even know why they gave it to us. We weren't even fans of the books or something, and how they got it. But if you ever listen to any of their previous stuff, they always talk about how Weiss, one of the D's, told the other D, you got to read this, and they both fell in love with it. And then they talked to George, and they answered that one question as who was Jon Snow's parents. And they always talk about loving the show, and now they're like, we don't even like they didn't even like the fantasy in the fantasy show. So that's from the quotes from the actual breakdown, which I'm going to do another day. I will do a breakdown of the actual seminar or the panel, maybe Saturday, I hope. We'll see what goes on. I'm having a long weekend with the family. So, but tell me what you think about this article. Do you think Dan and Dave are over with D&D, those dumb? I think they are. I think this Netflix thing is going to blow up in Netflix face. These guys have no creative bone. Once George Martin's books that I love ended, it was all about spectacle with those guys. They lost who these characters were. And I don't care what anybody tells me. I believe that. Okay? Go ahead, try to change my mind that they understood these characters just by a general outline that George gave them. Because if Bran becomes king and if Daenerys burns down the city, George is going to get there, and we're going to see where those seeds were. Now, check out Order of the Green Hand. They do great book research. It's like a 6 or 7 part video as so far about trying to see if Dany ever did anything to prove that she will become this monstrous dictator murderer. There's nothing. So D&D, though, I'm glad you guys are getting a taste of reality. Towards the end, every interview I saw with you guys were cocky. You hid from us fans. You bowed out of Comic-Con, and it's about time now. You just don't even care, and you're just throwing it out there like whatever. I have no respect for you guys. I don't think I'll ever watch anything you do. And truthfully, I hope I hope the best for anybody. I don't want to say fail, but I hope you do get a taste of your own medicine and realize that you need great writers and cast like you had in Game of Thrones, or at least cast that will make you guys look better and stop being the center of your world and allow them to shine and not you two, because you guys don't deserve it. So thank you. Sporking News Podcast, please like, share, write a comment down below. If I don't ever mean to disrespect anybody with my feelings, I respect all yours. So please let me know how you feel about this, other videos you'd like to see. Big shout out to Thomas for making a video about me. Quick little video on his walk, and that meant a lot to me, man. A lot of people are showing a lot of love, and I really appreciate that. So let's keep growing. All right, let's get to 1,000. Have a great day. Oh, if they're calling you names, they've already lost the war.